James, my Syria, can catch me the dive for Manus. Shout out to the Manus gang. Okay, cool. So we know that the subconscious mind controls about 95% of all your actions. And the relevance of that is that the goals you set for yourself have to be accepted by the subconscious mind, or you won't take any actions towards them and end up self-sabotaging. One of the ways to understand the impact of the subconscious mind is through cell structure or cellular memory. I'm going to first talk about cellular memory at an individual level, then at a generational level, and then get to how to solve it. So every cell runs an electric energy source called the mitochondria. Healthy cells are positively charged and unhealthy cells are negatively charged. Now, our DNA structure within our cells has the blueprint design of our body and mental state, and I will add spiritual state. Now, that's important to know because your cells remember your life experiences, right? Each thought you have creates a neural network, links, and as you continue to repeat that thought pattern, that type of information is stored into your cellular memory. So if a significant life event occurs and you fail to process or understand your experience, then information is stored in what we can call raw form into your cells. These memories or information stored in the cells end up becoming reference points that the brain uses to see how to respond, as the subconscious mind is a habit mind. So if something happened to you, you need to make sure you have interpreted that event, got the story right, and perhaps look for a story that invokes healing and not fear. An example of this is the memory of you getting denied an opportunity may be interpreted as if you're not good enough, making you label yourself as unworthy, and that's imprinted into your cellular memory, which is in a sense your entire identity. On the other hand, you can interpret that same events as you just found out one of the ways that path won't lead you to your goal. You have been brought closer to a path that is meant and has been set for you to achieve your goal by the universe, filled with peace, love, and harmony. Cellular memory is an important blueprint to your life, and a lot of work by Dr. Bruce Lipton and other scientists have been working on this. Okay, so now that we have covered the foundation, let's just park this discussion aside for a second. Now, I've been going through multiple belief systems, and I noticed that in a lot of belief systems, they have this idea of ancestor worship. For example, there's the Shraddha in India, also the Vodun faith ancestral worship in Ghana, the venerated saints in Catholic from Rome, and different types of Christianity have ancestor worship. The Shi ceremony from China also have ancestral worship, and the list is endless. And I was trying to figure out, why would multi-cultures come to such a conclusion? What is it about the human experience that has made us over time accept this ancestral worship to be true multiculturally in different part of the world, different part of races? It's wild for us to presume that after death we can relate to our ancestors, or that something is there. It's like there's no logic to it, if that makes sense. I think I finally get why in the biology behind it. So in modern science, we know that cellular memory lasts beyond a lifetime. A study in 2013 by Dr. Brian Diaz and Dr. Kerry Ressler trained rats to be scared of a chemical called acetophenone and released the smell to the cage before an electric shock. So they feared the chemical smell. When these set of rats continued to give birth all the way to the third generation, they were still scared of that smell, even though only their great-great-grandparents were the ones who were taught to fear that smell through electric shocks. The third generation rats were never introduced to that smell, but they naturally still feared that smell because that information from the great-great-grandparents associating that smell and an electric shock went to their cellular memory and was passed down genetically to the third generation of rats. Dr. Joe Dispenza says that nature does not waste anything in her attempts to pass down information to living organisms. This is how nature prepares future generations to cope with the same environmental conditions the previous generations had to face. Our DNA is like a history book of the generations before us, in a sense. Now, there's plenty evidence, even in procedural memory, being inherited, like babies know how to suck without even being taught how to do it. Memories can be coded into your genetic code. Now hold on, I'm building onto a point here. We also know some of the biological roots of your personality traits, represented in the big 5 personality categories, are genetically inherited from your parents or passed down. And these big 5 traits guide you, they guide your decisions, they guide the things you're interested in, whether you're interested in people, things, extrovert, introvert, IQ, etc. And I did a video explaining all of this, and I'll leave the link in the description. Anyway, the point here is all of this information is passed down through generations, through our cellular memories, right? So the body of your great grandma is made out of cells. And if the cellular memory has the blueprint of her mental, physical, and spiritual state, and that information is genetically stored and passed down to one of your parents, right? In a weird sense, your parents in part literally embody those who came before them. And I think this is what belief systems meant or were trying to understand when they came up with the conceptualization or the idea of ancestral worship. Now you have to understand that ancient people's language is symbolism, stories, motifs, and gods. That's the language they use. There is no science. And that's how they explained everything. They would explain what we explain scientifically through stories. So of course this is how they would understand it or explain ancestral worship. Remember, those people were no fools. There's no evidence that they were less smart than the people that are here, right now. This becomes more clear when you know how religions are formed across time. So my ancestors' cellular memory is encoded in my genetics. And of course, to a certain extent, I'm guided by that. My aunt the other day told me that I was doing something exactly like my granddad, who I've never met. And I just thought that was interesting. So what happens if you have a long history of generational trauma? One generation unsolved trauma being imprinted onto their cellular memory, making it more likely that it's genetically passed down for the next generation to experience some form of trauma, limitation, or so forth and so on. I'm painting a picture of a domino effect. Now with this in mind, this would emphasize even more the need for you to be the best version of yourself and be conscious about imprinting positive information within your cellular memory, because you're gonna pass it down and it will genetically impact your children, which has a domino effect to how it impacts society and could be the solution to break the so-called family curses. You have a responsibility to climb the mountain for those around you and for those that come after you. Okay, let's get closer to talking about healing. Usually a negative experience lays vague in your subconscious mind, lays vague in your background, and you need to bring it out to your consciousness and make it concrete, and not a vague idea of what happened, in order to create a narrative around it. So you first need to identify it. You need to understand that perhaps if 5 years have passed from the event, it may not necessarily be the memory of the trauma itself that hurts you, but its perception and the meaning of the trauma that has been attached to it that's hurting you. Because the meaning of the event alters the way you view the world. Do you view the world as a safe place, a dangerous place? Is the world characterized by love, malevolence, opportunity, scarce resources? How does your future look for you? What story do you have around that event? What meaning have you attached to it? I once did a video of an exercise you can do. The video is called How to Get Trauma Out of the Body, and I'll link it into the bio. The emphasis of this video is that everything you do matters. You infect the whole entire collective consciousness within your lifetime with the networks around you and the people that come after you. James, my Siri, I'm in gratitude for you watching this far. I am dropping a children's book on the 31st of October because I do think we need to start reprogramming children from a young age. So if you're interested in buying that, the link is in the description. You can monetarily support the channel. There's a $2 link. And if you can't, a like and a subscribe will go a long way. I'm just so grateful for your attention.